decided to move back. What was the trigger point?
I don't know, call it epiphany, whatever, call it gut instinct. I was married at the time. Me and my wife were discussing over a weekend, and whatever it is, one Saturday, I think it's time, if we don't move back now, we won't go back. And India is going to boom, India is doing well. I don't know, it was some instinct that we should go back.
How did Flipkart happen?
Deciding to quit McKinsey in 10 months or 11 months when it's such a big brand name is very hard. But Flipkart again happened by serendipity and chance. I interviewed with 5-6 folks. Now you will know all of them in the ecosystem. Samir, Bini, Sujit, Ankit Nagori, a bunch of them, Rahul. And I think the next 9 years after that shaped me a lot in how to work in India, how to build a startup, how to grow a startup, how to scale it, how to deal with various problems.
What was the founding story of Scapia?
Every December end, I take a trip, and that year I was in Dharamshala. I would wake up at 4, and while I was doing research, just struck me, just out of the blue. Why can't we build a credit card in India which has travel rewards, which can be very powerful and built for youngsters based on what are their needs? And I felt that day this will work. I just whipped out a document with 2-3 pages. I was like, this is it, this is going to work. Sometimes you need that serendipity and luck. Think about a problem. That's the founding story. I feel one of the best products that any entrepreneur can build is when you can relate to the product, when you yourself are the user, you know what are the problems, what are the gaps. Of course, I'm not as young as what my customers are right now, but I feel as young and I can build for them.
So your advice to those who are abroad?
Yeah, if someone is serious and want to come back, there's no better time.
We had Anil Goteti on the podcast. Anil is the founder of Scapia. Scapia is a fintech company that offers a travel credit card for young professionals and frequent travelers. The card allows users to earn rewards and cashback on their spending, which they can redeem for travel-related expenses like flights, hotels, and more. It's designed to make travel more affordable and rewarding by giving users perks and discounts on their trips. We covered Anil's early life, why did he move to US, his experience in the US, what did he learn there, why did he move back to India, his time at Flipkart, founding story of Scapia, what is he looking to accomplish through Scapia, and his advice to Indians who are living abroad, and his advice for Indian diasporas thinking about India as an opportunity. We also talked about how Gen Zs and millennials are traveling and experiencing. Now I bring you Anil. Anil, so good to have you on the podcast. I'm excited.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited as well. And yeah, it's been a while since I did a podcast. It's been a year or more, but yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You're going to enjoy it, my friend. Look, Anil, you went to IIT.
Yeah, I went to IIT Madras. Yeah.
Madras.
Long ago.
Long back. And then, you moved to US, you did your undergrad, and then you worked there for a bit, and then you did your master's.
Yeah.
Then you came back and you joined one of the most iconic company, or I would call it more so a company that accelerated and kind of like put Indian technology ecosystem on the map.
That's right. Yeah.
You were there for almost 9 years,
Yeah.
and you did some amazing work there.
Yeah.
And then you started
Yeah.
a company called Scapia,
Yeah.
which is more so helping travelers like me and them
Yeah.
travel better,
Including myself. Yeah.
and yourself. In fact, you built it for yourself.
Yeah.
We'll dig into that in a bit, but to start with, Anil, we're really a byproduct of our environment.
That's right. Yeah.
Growing up, what shaped you the most?
Actually, I've been talking and thinking about this a lot of late. My father has been a big influence on some of this stuff. Now people talk about startups and the ecosystem, but he was one of the early employees of HCL and probably third employee of HCL Technologies. He used to sell computers to various universities and educational institutions in the 80s. Mm-hmm. So when I was growing up, I used to get the best computers at home. Maybe when Bill Gates used to release, Microsoft Windows 3.11, I probably had it 1-2 months later in my house. Mm-hmm. I probably got my first internet connection when I was in 7th grade. As you can imagine, this was in the early 90s, right? A lot of this is fantastic exposure when you're growing up. that kind of learning, being able to see what's happening in the digital world, I think has made a tremendous impact in what I wanted to do in my career and learn and build. In fact, when I was growing up, probably it used to make me think a lot, and I used to dream about creating a product that would be there in millions of households. Like I used to see all these Windows and everything in Microsoft, all that playing. All this, like I should have something where everybody should be using. Of course, now the computer is not as popular as the mobile phone, but the device has changed, but the ecosystem is something similar, right? So I feel those 5-7 years when I was in high school, when I got a lot of this exposure, gave me, I think, huge learnings. And I used to participate in computer programming contest, things that would not be accessible to many people. In fact, when I went to IIT Madras, many of my classmates first got to use the computer in the first year in the lab, but I was using it for 7-8 years before. I was not smart enough to get admission into the computer science branch. I actually dreamed of getting into computer science, but no. I got the next best branch, which is electrical engineering. I ended up being an electrical engineer, but my heart and my passion was always towards building products in the computer science ecosystem in the world, right? Eventually, I gravitated towards that in my own way, not being an engineer, but being an entrepreneur, building for that ecosystem. But I think that had a massive influence. And I think the other influences, obviously, the friends and the network and who I studied with. Then going abroad after my undergrad, that I believe made me a different person. I think I learned a lot because of that. When you go to a multicultural environment and you see people of various nationalities, and I went to University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. Right? It's one of the really good engineering colleges. It's called UIUC, and UIUC had the first transistor. They had the first browser. Like Mark Anderson developed the browser there. So there's a lot of history there, right? And you go to such a place, you know that kind of talent that comes there. You get to see how different people think, what they bring to the table, what they're capable of, how creative they are, how smart they are. Makes you humble. Also, you build different skill sets, because in India, sometimes when you go to the engineering colleges and all the stuff, you build a certain narrow skill set of being analytical, doing problem solving, figuring out how to ace exam papers. But I think the US education first opened up a lot. Then after that, working the professional life, that shaped me a lot as well. So, of course, I think every 5 years, 10 years, I feel good that I have been exposing myself to newer things and learnings and growing as a person. Early childhood, to your question, was all about getting early access to computers and internet. I think that was it.
So while you were working in the US, Anil, if quickly, in hindsight, maybe one or two things that kind of like, helped you become who you've become today.
Look, my first job was in the US. After my master's, I worked in Qualcomm in the Bay Area. Qualcomm invented CDMA, invented 3G in the world, right? I believe I learned a lot of professional work ethic, how to innovate, how to work hard, how to be ahead of others. Qualcomm was built like that. Qualcomm used to be always 6 to 12 months ahead of any other competitor. They always used to put the first product out in anything mobile and wireless. I happened to actually make a bunch of first 3G calls between Qualcomm and Ericsson these are things that as a youngster, when you're, second year in your job, I was probably what, 23, 24, and I was living in the Bay Area, but people trust you to take responsibilities and make these calls between two iconic companies, and that lays the foundation for the entire world after that to use it.
Yeah.
So I remember going to Stockholm, and we made the world's first 3.6 Mbps call on a wireless phone. Me and 2, 3 other engineers from Qualcomm, and then a few other engineers from Ericsson. We were around. There was a base station. We had a mobile phone, and then we make a call.
Yeah.
And then, like, wow, the call is made. Like, I mean, imagine being a 24, 25-year-old, being able to do these things where somebody trusts you to do these things, and then you learn. It leaves a huge impact on you as to how you should be as a company, how you should be as a leader, manager. My first manager, I'm still in touch with him. Amount of trust he used to place in me to be able to do these things coaches you, right? In fact, when I wanted to leave the company and go to business school, he wrote recommendation letters for me and recommended me to business school. He's added a lot in my life. He probably doesn't know how much he has done, as much as I know it. Sometimes, unfortunately, that's what the world is like. But I learned a lot from him.
Yeah.
And I think the whole company taught a lot of us youngsters to be able to solve problems for the customers and make the product so delightful, innovative. That I think it instilled a lot of work ethic in me.
Work ethic.
Yeah.
And plus over there, regardless of your age, they'll empower you.
They'll empower.
And they'll give you the confidence.
Yeah,
And I'm assuming this is what you're doing right now at Scapia. You're giving chances to, doesn't matter how old or how young they are.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Even at Flipkart, right, when I joined the company, I was empowered with a P&L in a business. Yeah, it was not like I had 20 years of experience or whatnot, right? It doesn't work like that in the startup world, or it shouldn't work like that in the professional world. Some jobs and some families of jobs may require some experience, but largely it should be on what you're capable of, how much you can empower the individual, what is that person delivering, and what is the promise that person is showing, and how you can make them successful. So I think my entire 5 years of Qualcomm was, I think, just being trained as a professional. I think
so I was getting trained.
I was just getting trained as a professional. I think that's what I would think. I mean, there's obviously a lot of engineering contributions and all of that stuff that I did. Though I got bored with it, and eventually I was like, I don't want to continue as an electrical engineer in my life, and I wanted to build a business, and I wanted to go into the business side. But I learned to work as a professional.
Right. And you decided to move back. That was what year?
2011. So I did my MBA, and then in my second year of MBA, I decided to come back over a weekend.
Over a weekend. What was the trigger point? And also, we'll transition from there into Flipkart. How did Flipkart happen?
Look, I went to business school at Northwestern Kellogg. I interned at McKinsey & Company in the Chicago office. I had an offer to go back to McKinsey in Chicago. And business school is all about finding a job. Once you find a job, then you do what you want in the second year. Also, I had studied enough in my life. I decided to experiment in the second year. I was doing venture capital. I was working for somebody in Houston. I started a company. I used to have a lot of fun with my friends. But just 3 months before I was graduating, I was married at that time. Me and my wife were discussing over a weekend, and I don't know, call it epiphany, whatever, call it gut instinct, call it whatever it is. One Saturday, I was just telling my wife, don't you think we should just move back to India? It was 9 years for me. It was lesser number of years for her. But I was like, I think it's time, if we don't move back now, we won't go back. And India is going to boom. India is doing well. I thought I spent enough time in the US. I don't know. It was
More of
just
an
some
instinct.
some instinct, some instinct that we should go back. Uh, and everybody was like, "You have a job offer in McKinsey Chicago. What are you going to do?" So I did something very unusual. I told the McKinsey Chicago folks, I want to move to India and transfer my offer to McKinsey India. And when everybody had an offer, I had an offer. Everybody was partying, doing everything else. 3 months before I was about to graduate, I came to India. Then I interviewed with McKinsey and Company again. And I went through an interview process. Then I was like, man, why am I doing this to myself? Then I interviewed. Obviously, they gave me a job offer after that.
Yeah.
Then we moved to India. It was a very hard decision.
Yeah.
It's one of those decisions where you get used to a country for 9-10 years. It starts to feel like home, but now I realize it was not fully home. But it is a very difficult decision. You go in with 2 suitcases, okay? When you move to a foreign country, like you literally go with 2 suitcases. You've probably done this yourself, right? When we moved back, we had like 60 boxes. I was married. I had this thing. You're really uprooting yourself. Forget the materialistic things. Like it's about you belonging in one place. Before, when I used to live in the US and I used to come to India, and when I used to land back in San Francisco, I used to feel, okay, I've come back home. Right? Now, when I land in Bangalore over the last 10, 12 years, I was like, okay, I'm back home. Right? So, I was moving and, and my wife was pregnant at that time. So, even more difficult. And I'd never worked in India. I'd worked only in US. So, there's a lot of things to move and make it happen.
Yeah.
And in fact, it didn't work out for the first 9-10 months. I joined McKinsey in Chennai. I grew up in Chennai. I thought I'll go back to the city where I grew up. My wife also spent a lot of time in Chennai. She grew up in Chennai. We then both realized we couldn't live in Chennai anymore. It was too hot for us. It was too humid. All our friends, our families were also not there. So it just didn't make any sense. We thought we should move out of that city.
Yeah.
And then I was spending time in Delhi and different places in the country because I was working for clients and consulting for McKinsey then. I also realized I'm not a consultant. I'm an operator, right? So within 10 months, I took an even harder call and said, I'm not going to continue in McKinsey. I'm going to find myself a job in the startup world. And these are difficult decisions also in the context of where I was in my life at that time, because I had taken a loan for my US MBA. When I switched and decided to come back to India, the biggest expense, I made an Excel actually in 2011 when I was going to come back, and the biggest line item was my US MBA loan repayment every month. And guess what? I think it was about Indian rupees, dollar ratio was probably 45 rupees per dollar. By the time I came back in 1 month, that 45 became 52 or 53. Then suddenly my Indian salary shrunk because of the US loan I had. And then deciding to quit McKinsey in 10 months or 11 months when it's such a big brand name is very hard. But I was not happy and I wanted to be in a place where I wanted to be in that consumer internet startup world, right? Flipkart again happened by serendipity and chance. One of my close friends, he now works for PhonePe. He introduced me to Sameer Nigam, who's the founder of PhonePe, and at that time he got acquired by Flipkart, and he said, my friend just and this company got acquired by Flipkart. There's this company called Flipkart. I said, yeah, I've been seeing ads of Flipkart over the last 3-4 months because those kidults and those ads had started coming, and I could see that there's an e-commerce platform being built. And there were only a few companies which were at that time big and making something in the world, in India, out of India, like InMobi and Flipkart, and the rest were all unknown, right? So I came to Bangalore on a Saturday. I had never lived in Bangalore. I just probably visited Bangalore 2-3 times. I interviewed with 5-6 folks. Now you will know all of them in the ecosystem. Sameer, Bini, Sujit, Ankit Nagori, a bunch of them, Rahul. And Monday, within a few days, I met Samir again at the World Book Fair in Pragati Maidan. And I remember going around circles in Pragati Maidan and we were discussing the offer.
Yeah.
And that's how Flipkart happened.
Yeah.
And again, it was very, very hard. Extremely hard because you're leaving a company like McKinsey. Nobody knows Flipkart. It's just very early days. People were just figuring out whether this would work. But I, again, decided to back my instinct and my gut on it. I spoke to my father. He was like, "Are you sure you want to leave McKinsey and Company?" Yeah. He said, "Yeah, do whatever makes you happy." And I think the next 9 years after that shaped me a lot in how to work in India, how to build a startup, how to grow a startup, how to scale it, how to deal with various problems, how to go through ups and downs, how to manage teams, how to be a leader, how to build products, how to run marketing, how to, I think pretty much everything I know now is probably thanks to the 9 years I spent at Flipkart. Like you said earlier, I think it's an iconic firm which actually has shaped the Indian ecosystem in a material way. It's trained a lot of people. We were all empowered to build and just grow and do what we do, right? I remember my first job was to take care of the books category, and I was hired to do ebooks, but then I started doing books as well. It's probably 1/3 of the company business at that time, but it was not like I ran multiple businesses before, or I was a consultant, and before that I was an engineer, right? But I was interested in that and said, go figure out the P&L, go grow it. I was given a team of 30 people right off the bat.
Yeah.
Of course, you're not only just the empowerment, but you also need to make sure you do well, right? It takes two to tango on these things, but that's how Flipkart happened. That's the story, but learned a lot.
Yeah. I think you probably know him as well. Forgetting the name, Harsh. Harsh of Grow. I was having a conversation with him.
Yeah.
So he was at UCLA.
Yeah.
As soon as he saw news on Flipkart, I think Flipkart either had raised $1 billion or it became a $1 billion company.
Okay.
That quickly just prompted him to move back.
Yeah. I also joined right after that first round not the first round, when they became a $1 billion company. In fact, when I spoke to my friends at that time, they were like, it's already a $1 billion company. Why are you joining now? It's like, it's already overvalued, right?
Yeah.
But there's no right or wrong answers in these things. People will give different perspectives, and it's not that their perspective was wrong or right, but I was like, it doesn't matter to me. I just want to learn and I'll figure out, money will come as an outcome later on. But eventually now it's a $38 billion.
$38 billion. That people didn't foresee.
Of course, even
similar
I didn't foresee.
Like Zomato.
Yeah,
no one foresaw that. And then Scapia happened.
Yeah.
What was the founding story of Scapia? Why Scapia? And I also feel there are a lot of credit card companies in India, tech new age companies, which are helping increase the credit card penetration in India. But no one was focusing on travel as a segment.
Yeah.
What was your aha moment and founding story?
Look, I before starting Scapia, I started on the firm. It didn't work out, so I then decided to shut down and take a break. So I took a good 3-month break, 4-month break. I thought I'll probably take 6 months or 12 months. Sometimes you dream about some things and then it doesn't happen the way you think about it, right? After 2 months, I started getting jittery. I was like, this break is enough now, I think. Yeah. You know when your break is done, right? Yeah. So you want to give yourself time and then give yourself that break. After 2 months, I started exploring ideas and I started thinking about, I think it was a combination of both top-down thinking and bottom-up exploration. Top-down thinking as to where is India now? I was very clear I wanted to play in a B2C world because that's what I had learned. That's what I had developed my muscles in Flipkart on. I was very clear. I wanted to work in a industry and vertical that I'm personally passionate about, right? I also wanted to make sure that I build a business model and a proposition that is economically viable, and I'm not just building it randomly and then figuring out money at a later time, right? And I was very clear that it has to have a tailwind along with it, and there has to be market forces that are actually shaping it, right? This was kind of like a boundary conditions and criteria that I had mentally for myself, right? And then I was thinking of where are Indians going, what are they going to do, all of this stuff. So there were only two areas that I thought a lot of this will come into force. One is when Indians have disposable income, and that's playing out, but this was just around COVID, before Omicron and all that stuff. It was not so obvious. I realized there are two places that Indians will spend heavily on. One is on high-end retail. The second one was on travel and experiences, right? I'd just done retail for a very long time in Flipkart. So in a way, I was also like, burnt out from that. And I said, okay, let me not play in that domain again. I wanted something fresh where I wanted to learn and do some new things. Sometimes for me, that also is a need, personal need to play in different sectors and play those games, or at least keep learning. And so I wanted to figure something out in travel and experiences. And I was very bullish on travel and experiences. I'm also personally passionate about it. Right? I've traveled a lot. And that, by the way, US exposes you to a lot of travel. When I went to the US, when I was studying, in the summers, you just see a lot of undergrads and graduate students just taking off to Europe, taking gap years. It's like gap years and other things are like evolving now. Solo trips. These are all things that are buzzwords now in India, but these are very common 20 years ago in the US.
You took a solo trip back
I took a solo trip back then. Again, I was inspired by some of that stuff, and I thought, okay, again, this exposure matters, right? I used to take a lot of road trips. I have a count. I think out of 50 states in the US, I've been to 41 states or something like that. So I've done a lot of road trips. I've been to many countries. I enjoy travel. I think it gives a lot of perspectives. Allows you to meet new people, understand different cultures, learn history, enjoy different food. There's a lot. There's a lot that one gets to learn. So I was passionate about it. And then I was figuring out what business model, because I had this other condition that I have to make money and I have to make sure that it's a capital efficient, and the business model has to be good. I spent almost probably a month or month and a half in December 21 figuring out what business around travel will make this work. And in India, there are many travel platforms, but there are none even today outside us, I would say, with all humility, that serve millennials and Gen Zs in a way that actually appeals to them, that caters to their needs, and makes it, I would say, worthwhile for them, right? But just building a travel company for me was not cutting it, because people travel only maybe 4 times a year, 6 times a year. It's increasing, by the way. Maybe before people used to travel 2 times a year, but now it's probably 3, 4 times, 5 times. But there's only so much travel you can do when you have your professional and personal life. Call it again some epiphany, some luck, because sometimes when you dwell on a problem long enough is when you get a solution. I was figuring out solutions around travel now, pay later, or figuring out maybe giving loans to youngsters, because I know it's also hard for youngsters to travel. So you will have to equip them with, the right amount of, I would say, financials to be able to give them that, ability to go travel. Sometimes they may not be earning enough, but if they have the ability to repay it, then maybe you can. So I was figuring out, maybe I'll do something in travel now, pay later, whatever. It was December of 21, and every December end I take a trip, and that year I was in Dharamshala with another family, and I was thinking about what to do, what is the idea. Then I was like, I was writing a document. I used to wake up at 4 a.m. in Dharamshala when everybody was sleeping. Call it entrepreneur madness or whatever it is. We all used to sleep at 9, 10, and then I would wake up at 4, and I was like writing this document as to what this business could be, what this be. It, while I was doing research, just struck me, just out of the blue. Why can't we build a credit card in India which has travel rewards, which can be very powerful and built for youngsters, built it ground up based on what are their needs. And I felt that day this will work. It was like some 4:35 a.m. somewhere.
Yeah.
I was pacing up and down the reception of a hotel in Dharamshala. If you had seen me that day, you would have seen like something is brewing here. What is this guy roaming around randomly in life? But I just whipped out a document with 2-3 pages. I was like, this is it. This is going to work. This is. Sometimes you need that serendipity and luck when you think about a problem. That's the founding story. I mean, it's a lot of top-down thinking, exploration, dwelling on a problem. But that was December. Then, there were a few people in my team who were there in the previous company that wanted to continue with me, whatever the problem was.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm very thankful for the trust that they had in me. It also put a lot of pressure on me, by the way, to start something that, would be meaningful. Then I called them, it's like, I think this is the idea. So I said, okay, let's all of us talk to customers and do research as to what kind of a card would work, what kind of travel rewards would work, how would this be appealing. Next 1-2 months was just that. Just every day whipping out a Figma page, showing it to customers on a Zoom call. It was still Omicron, by the way. So no in-person interviews and all the stuff like
it was
this.
during pandemic.
Yeah, it was pandemic. So pandemic was ending, almost ending. But I used to get a lot of questions from everybody I used to speak to. What if travel doesn't restart and the pandemic is longer? I was like, we'll figure it out. I'm sure it has to end. Like, people have to go about their lives, right? So that's when this whole proposition came together. Just through that, I would say serendipity, but I would say well informed by solid research over the next couple of months as to what would make a card with travel rewards work for customers. Of course, there's a lot of personal relatability here coming from experiences, right? I've had cards in the US for 20 years. And when I came to India, again, I had cards for 10 years, right? So, I know what is a good experience, what is not, what are the gaps. I feel one of the best products that any entrepreneur can build is when you can relate to the product, when you yourself are the user, you know what are the problems, what are the gaps. Of course, I'm not as young as what my customers are right now, but I feel as young and I can build for them. But I believe that we have a product that actually is working well for the customers, and of course very early days, and I'll be humble enough to say that we are not perfect and we'll keep getting better and better, and we ship our products very fast so that it keeps getting better. But I believe we have been able to address a lot of the pain points and the problems that people have, and it comes through with not only personal experience but deep research.
So Anil, for the audience, in simple language, so almost anyone can understand, let's say a 10-year-old or even a 60-year-old, what are the problems you're solving, and how is the experience better? So let's say if I come on your app, what would be the journey like? What are the different set of products through which you're helping, let's say, a traveler like me?
Look, I think there are two things that people look for when it comes to a card and what a traveler is looking for, right? One is just a delightful experience. I want a product that I want to use every day. I want to make sure that it gives me, what I want in a simple, trustworthy, delightful manner, right? These are loaded words, okay? But it's hard to execute. Keeping it simple, keeping it trustworthy, keeping it delightful, right? You have to build the company, the culture, the team with this ethos to be able to deliver on it. That's number one. I'll explain in little more detail as to what that means. Two, being able to give them a lot of value. That, when I use this product, it gives a lot of value to me. And value is not just about, rupee value. Sometimes it's also about what it's worth, right? From a experience or access or some things that other products in your life may not be able to give you, right? So when we researched and figured out what our customers would like, we figured out actually a bunch of things. One, they wanted to make sure what you see is what you get, right? For example, I remember having this conversation with a father and daughter who went to Norway, right? And they told me they lost the product, but they reached out to customer service. Then they were given tickets, they could come back. They were told exactly what was spent, what they'll get, what they'll not get, being able to handhold them when they're traveling and not having any pain. And he was also telling me, but you know what the problem is? When you go abroad and spend, you get a statement 35 days, 40 days later. You think this is a certain currency rate, but when you come back, it's a different currency rate. But then it's already been 30, 40 days. You forget what it is. But it's been charged, so then you have to pay for it. But does it really enable trust when you don't get to see the transaction real time? What was the rate? What was the rate? You should be told the rate before you're charged, not after you charged. Right? It's again simple problem, but I don't think people have addressed it like we have done, right? And I'll tell you how we have done it. So people want transparency in many of these things. Simplicity, being able to apply for a product, being able to get it. Like our application along with our banking partner has been built in a very simple, delightful manner. Though it's an application that has all the details of typically what a credit card application is, but we have been able to work with the banking partner and give some experience which is very different from what the current products that are in the market have, right? And also on charges and being able to show that these are the charges, this is what it is. And by the way, our regulator is very good about these things to say that the customer should be fully aware of everything that they're being charged and they should make a very informed decision. And we believe in that. From day one in the company, I've always believed that we should be showing this everywhere. We don't try to oversell anything. We try to make sure that we show everything very clearly. So that is on the product transparency on the stuff. But it should also be delightful. You like to make sure that the product you're using is something that you like to use, right? I mean, why do you like these shoes? Because it's comfortable, but it also looks good, right? It's a brand that you want to be associated with, right? So if you look at a card and how it is, it's a bright looking card that people would love to have. The way you unbox, if you see a lot of the videos, it's an experience by itself on how you unbox, right? And when you use our app, every screen and every button that you press or anything that you do there is so simple and delightful. People will be like, this is what I was looking for, right? It's a shame that people have to use a third-party app to pay their bills today on credit cards, right? But we should be able to pay it on our own platform. So that's what we solve for in a big way. Second is on value. Value is actually difficult to create, but that's how you choose the right business decisions and strategy to make it happen. So we wanted to make sure the card provides a lot of value along with the banking partner. So we offer a lot of features. We offer zero-forex when people are traveling abroad. And we do it with a lot of trust because before you swipe, you can actually check the forex currency converter. As soon as you tap, you'll see the transactions. So we give zero-forex. We give unlimited domestic launch. But obviously, we wanted to make a business model that works. But we have some caveats, right? So you have to spend at least 10,000 rupees per month on the card right now, right? So then people are not just using us for the launch, but also using the card regularly. So it has to make it work for both of us, right? So both the company and the customer. Then for every transaction, right? Every purchase that the customer does, we give points and rewards that actually convert into Scapia coins, and the customer can then redeem that for travel again, right? So the way we think about it is you can travel better because you have, let's say you're buying a flight ticket for 50,000 rupees somewhere, but you have accrued 10,000 rupees worth of coins, then you're going to spending only 40,000, right? Or you're going to buy 2 nights of hotel and staying somewhere, but now you can actually do 3 nights because you've gotten 1 night free, right? We have a lot of customers who get flights and stays, and now we have 6 categories almost, right? Flights, hotels, buses, trains, visas, which is again very hard for customers to be able to do it in a trustworthy manner and give your passport somewhere and get the visa, and then packages, right? To be able to go in a group to a different country and experience it, right? So we have these 6 categories where they can use their coins. You can tap everywhere, travel anywhere, right? So you travel in style, you travel better, you travel more, and that's the product proposition. So my 7-year-old understands this. It's a simple product. Of course, they know credit cards because they also see what's happening. But it's a simple product. It's not something which I have invented for the first time in the world. This product has been existing for many years, multiple decades around the world. But we are here to do it better. We are here to do it in a way that's trustworthy. We are here to do it in a way that actually is innovative, that others have not seen it before, and we want to do it in a way that the brand exists in for decades together and customers associate with this. Today we have 6 categories. When we started and launched the product, it was only 2 categories, flights and stays. But we want to make this better and better and better. We want to create more and more options like this, add more and more benefits, and make sure the customer gets a lot of value, while at the same time it's economically viable for us. So, that's the problem.
I'm sure you're getting tons of customer reviews, love, feedback.
Yeah.
1 or 2 that has just stuck with you?
Look, I think I send an email when every customer comes onto a platform saying, welcome, I'm a traveler, and this is Scapia, and this is what we offer. We're looking forward to you traveling with us. And every single one of those replies, I actually look at them and I personally reply. Just recently, just about 2 weeks ago, a customer wrote to me saying, Anil, I've been searching for a card like this for the last 1 year, and thank you for creating this product that I've fallen in love with. I'm looking forward to using it over the next, a few years, but everything is what I imagined it to be. Okay. This was just this email a couple of weeks back, but every few days an email like this lands in my inbox, and it has happened whenever we have issued the cards to the customers along with a banking partner. And I personally believe that's what you're building the company for. When your customers and all your ecosystem partners, I would say, actually even employees, how they have fun with the product, how they enjoy it, how they're enjoying building for it, how our partners are growing. When you see maybe those positive vibes across, saying that this is how they're enjoying it.
Yeah,
it's a lot of gratification for you personally. That it makes you believe in your journey and makes you think that this is exactly the reason why I've been building this product and journey. So whatever ups and downs you have, you're able to actually go through them because of these small moments and obviously big outcomes as they come along the journey. But these are the ones that take you.
Yeah. You're seeing probably through Scapia tons of trends.
Yeah.
around travel
Yeah.
and experiences.
Yeah.
Uh, how is Gen Z and millennials, how are they traveling?
Yeah.
Also, we can also kind of like compare that to the previous generation,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
differently they're
Yeah.
traveling,
Yeah.
and also what are few trends that just surprises you the most as well.
Yeah. Look, I think now it's no longer a surprise, but I'll tell you a few things that are changing very significantly. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, people would save up a lot for travel, probably think about, I need to save up for 2 years, 3 years, I need to put all this money together. There's also a lot of other needs that people had, right? People had to save up a lot to buy maybe a mobile phone or a TV in the house, or maybe go visit their family, right? I don't think the disposable income was as high as it is now. So people, all those other needs are getting sorted right now. So even if they don't have savings towards travel, people are able to then say, okay, let me live into the future. I can actually put this on the card and I can pay it in 3 installments, 6 installments, or maybe even the next month when I get my salary. I don't think this would have flown in the Indian cultural context 20 years ago. That like it's even I would say in some pockets today in Indian world it's like not seen in the right way. But I think everybody's eyes are opening up to living in the moment and being able to see the world and learning from those experiences and having fun, right? Like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, startups were considered very risky. Now startups are considered cool,
Yeah.
right? So this trend is happening. People are definitely looking to travel more and more, and sometimes beyond today's means, but from tomorrow's income. And obviously, one has to do it in a very responsible manner rather than be in a place where they can't repay some of the stuff, right? So, second, people are very adventurous and want to experience things that are not run of the mill. I don't want to go to Bombay and probably be in the big city and probably see just the Marine Drive, right? Which by the way people will do, and there's nothing wrong with it. But people do want to go and say, okay, I want to see, a cultural experience that I have not been to before, right? So people are looking to go abroad. People are looking to travel within India. People want to explore various places of history, right? People want to go to Meghalaya and experience like Chirapunji, or go to a Doki and the Bangladesh border and figure out how to do rafting there, or go to Kaziranga National Park. Like I think there's a lot of exploration that is happening. Really good travelers are also explorers, right? They're not just travelers, they're not tourists, right? So people are moving from tourism to, I think, exploring and traveling, and really immersing themselves in the cultures. And going abroad and all that and traveling internationally, I think maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, a bit daunting. Visas were much harder. People didn't have passports. Now the passport volume is, it's, you can get a passport in a day. You can go to Phuket, you can go to Bali without any visa. You can just land there. I think the number of Indians going abroad is just exponentially rising, and that's why. By the way, another data trend that really inspired me in 2022 beginning. I think Indians are number 12 in the world when number of people going abroad. And if you look 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 5-10 years ahead, we'll probably be in the top 5, top 3 because of both disposable income and the number of Indians who will come, right? So the international travel is significantly increasing. Exploration, also solo trips, women explorers going on their own. I think safety is much better. People are taking much more informed decisions. Obviously, there's a lot more information available to be able to make those informed decisions and go to places. And like being in backpacking hostels, and I did that 20 years ago in Europe where I could go to backpacking hostels, but India it's not quite common. People are uh, obviously you can't be foolish and put yourself in unsafe situations, but
Yeah.
uh, all of this is actually, I would say, in the realm of adventurous, exploratory, immersive travel.
Yeah.
Those are the trends I'm seeing. There's obviously also other trends of along in the cultural domain of religious travel. And for example, we saw for Mahakumbh so many tickets and hotels being booked on our platform. Like for Northern Lights and for Coldplay concert. Again, these are all immersive experiences in various forms. Sometimes it could be religion. Sometimes that band is your religion. Whatever, right? So all that is happening. Yeah. And you can see it. You can see it live on the data. What we put on the platform. Which banners people click, which don't. What leads them to what city. Last year, our card was used in about 110 countries. It's more than half the globe, if I were to see the number of countries. Our travel platform took them to, I think, about 98 countries or so, 97 countries. If you had told me this 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would have that would be a good outcome. But now I feel proud about it. Now I'm thinking I should cover every part of the globe and I should have 200 countries at some point. Yeah.
No, it's, I mean, I think either we already are seeing this, or maybe in a few years we will see where, Indians will travel the way the Western world has been traveling, which is just taking vacation over, let's say, summer break, or taking a year off, which you mentioned earlier. That's already happening, and we are traveling not just abroad, we are traveling within countries, and not just the regular places. As you said, we are moving from experiences to exploration, and it could be one of the reasons why you launched Unmapped.
That's right. That's right.
Product that you have, where quickly tell us, what is that?
It is unmapped. It's off the map. It's basically being able to do offbeat travel. One of the other fun things about travel is to be able to meet new people. And this is one of the things that we're enabling through Unmapped. What we are doing is actually bringing a group of strangers who haven't met each other before to go on a trip. And when you go on a trip with strangers, you become good friends at the end of it, typically, right? Unless you really don't get along with that person. But when I went to business school, I remember I went on a trip, which was called Quest, where you go on a trip with all the incoming students. Of course, you're split into batches, so you go in a group of 20 people. And the 20 people are not supposed to disclose where you're from, what you were doing in your life before professionally, why did you come to business school, and what industry do you want to go to. And nothing related to professional life or business school. So then you start engage with people in a deeper level, right? So what we have done with Unmapped is first created an itinerary where people don't have to worry about anything about travel, right? We obviously, customers have a lot of coins and they can redeem it for cheaper travel, and then being able to make it more affordable. We also provide no-cost EMIs for them to be able to book it. But most importantly, every single part of the trip we take care of. When you land, the food, the places that you go to, experiences that you typically not be able to do. For example, the first trip went to Vietnam in a month ago or so. They went on motorbikes in the city. Then they had a MasterChef competition where they cooked the local cuisine with a chef. They were split into groups and they had this competition. These are things that typically you don't do when you're going as a tourist, when you haven't done enough research or somebody doesn't guide you enough, right? So, of course, there's a lot of charm in you figuring out traveling on your own, because then you're learning on your own and you're making your own decisions, and it actually makes you more confident and bold to be able to travel on your own and make all the stuff. But there's also a charm sometimes in somebody else doing some of those things for you, and immersing yourself in these very unique things that you don't get to do unless somebody guides you. But to top it off, to go with, 13, 14 strangers who have never met before in your life, adds a certain level of adventure and I would say an element of surprise that you're looking forward to. And the first group went, they loved it. They had a ball. Right? Yeah. We launched a second edition, which people are yet to go. They're going to Georgia. And again, very unique experiences tied in Georgia. We launched it and got sold in a couple of days. But yeah, maybe in 10 years, they would have had an unmapped trip everywhere around the globe.
Yeah.
As long as Indians are allowed there, but we'll make sure they do.
So Anil, it seems like eventually Scapia would be, let's say, for somebody like me, I go on the platform, I can get a card where, the forex is zero. Wherever I swipe, I pay nothing, nothing in fees.
Yeah.
Second, I want to get a visa to, let's say, X country.
Yeah.
That'll be delivered.
Yeah.
Now I want to book a flight.
Yeah.
And then also, let's say, I don't know where I want to go.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
You will curate
Yeah.
experience for me.
Yeah.
I just pay
Yeah.
for it and nothing
Yeah.
else I need to do.
Yeah.
Also insurance and other.
Yeah. We already do that by the insurance.
You're already doing that insurance. So quickly, maybe in few sentences, what's the magical outcome that you're looking for Scapia?
See, I think for us, we want to be the brand that they trust to be able to use every day to be able to take care of their financial expenses, but through those expenses, get rewards that actually lead them into good experiences in terms of travel and related things, right? And along all of this stuff, we want to make it so seamless, so delightful that they don't have to worry about any of these things. When it comes to travel, you make plans, but sometimes plans change. So when those plans change, we want to be there for them. We want to make sure that we're able to solve for them. Sometimes things, 95%, 99% of the time, things go right. But when things don't go right, we want to be for them. We want to be that brand where it's like somebody who's there to have your back, but is not visible, but is around to help you and make sure things happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, it should lead to memorable, delightful experiences that they will remember for life. Right? When it comes to travel, people remember all the best experiences and also the worst experiences. If you lose a suitcase and you went to Turkey and just making it up, like let's say you didn't have your clothes for one whole day, we'll talk about it for 10 years. Or your wallet gets stolen. Like it happened to me when I was on my solo backpacking trip where my pocket was picked in Rome. It's 20 years, but I still remember exactly what happened. And it's daunting when you're doing this in a foreign location, right? So we want to be there in the best of experiences. We also want to be there as a brand to help when you're not having such a good time. Right? Hopefully it will never happen.
Yeah.
But if it happens, we want to be there. So that's what we want to do, right? And if I take a longer view, we want to take care of not only travel but also related experiences, right? There's a lot in and around travel that happens, right? So, like I said, we'll keep expanding and making sure that customers have more and more experiences on the platform. Yeah.
Got it. So look, you've come back. You worked at India's one of the most iconic companies. Now, currently, you're doing your life's work.
Yeah.
India is only rising.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are talking about it. And India has been rising for a while. But now, the last, let's say, a year or so, people have started talking about, like, this is the best time.
Yeah.
Moving, let's say, in the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
So your advice to those who are abroad, thinking about moving back and viewing India as an opportunity, and why do you think India is the right time to build?
Yeah. Look, first of all, it's not an easy decision, right? And I speak to a lot of people who are abroad. Many people have the intent, but it's a very difficult decision for them to make this, right? So there are a few things that one has to think about before making it. But if someone is serious and want to come back, there's no better time than now. And I believe even 10 years ago, right? It was a fantastic time, right? It's getting only better and better, right? But every year you're away from the country, you're probably losing out on that time, right? And there are many things that actually make this work. One, first of all, the macro and where India is, right? And the opportunity in India, the way the country is growing, the way the country is investing in various things, and what innovation is happening, how people are actually being entrepreneurial, what kind of new ideas and startups are coming, how people are taking bold bets, people are dropping out of college and building companies. I mean, these are things that are very inspiring, right? And it's about nation building, right? So, one, it's about the opportunity. Two, you should feel passionate about coming back to your own country and contributing to your nation. I feel that patriotism and giving back to your country, somewhere that streak should be there within, right? Though I had an opportunity, I have not given up my Indian passport, and I don't think I will never, right? And I want to serve the country in my own way, right? So part of doing my life's work is also being able to contribute to the country in my own meaningful way towards this, right? So that is the other one.
Yeah.
Third is, where are you comfortable and where do you want to live your life, right? This is very deep, by the way, right? People very loosely talk about standard of living is very good here and there, and Indian standard of living is not so good, and we have this issue, that issue. But you'll have to look at it holistically as to what is right for you, right? Do you want to be close to family when tomorrow something happens to your family, right? Or do you want to be across the globe where you will have to take 30 hours to come if there's any emergency, right? You can think about all the pollution and everything around, or the lack of infrastructure and all the stuff, but you'll have to look at it as a moment in time where the country is going through growth. And I'm very proud to say that this is India's today's infrastructure. But you look back 10 years ago, what was the infrastructure? You look 20 years ago, what was the infrastructure? You cannot see it as relatively today we are worse off than elsewhere. You should look towards the future and say, where will we be in 10 years or 20 years? And are we making the right progress? And are we in a place that we will all collectively go better, right? So you'll have to look at holistically and what is right for you. There's no right or wrong in these things, right? Maybe you would want to have the best of roads already, or you want to have, I would say, access to all the national forests like in the US, and being able to go on a interstate like in the US or whatever. Or sometimes, it's like even water, right? In many places in Bangalore today, you have to get water in lorries and you don't get access to the Kaveri water. But what problems and what you want to deal with, what are the bigger things that you're looking at, right? When you take a big picture as to the country, the opportunities, being closer to family, I think it's an obvious decision. But each person has to make it for himself or themselves, and they have to come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
Right? Of course, if your entire family is moved abroad and they're all staying there, or you're in a field which is so unique that it's very hard to replicate and you're not getting that opportunity here, maybe, right? But even those, I think, pretty much every industry function, everything I can think of right now, there's a lot of opportunity. Some industries and some functions, some places are much better than the other. But one has to make the effort to be in the mindset that I'm moving for good. I have made this decision. Many people who do this do it as an experiment. Let me try it, then it will fail. Right? If you see it as an experiment, then you're always in two minds. I want to come. Let me see if I will settle in back. Whether I want to go back. Then you have only one foot. Your other foot is there. Right? You have to move with both the feet and jump.
Yeah.
Right? And jump and swim in deep water and figure out how to be. Okay. Right? And there's a rule of thumb that for every year you've lived abroad, you will have to give yourself 1 month to settle back in. Generally. So you'll have to give yourself the time to settle back in. But home is home. You'll settle back in with all the things that you know well. But the country would have moved, so you will have to readjust. Maybe when you left in your childhood, the country was a bit different. So when you come back, you'll probably be visiting, but every time when you visit, you'll see the change. But when you really come back and settle, when you'll see ki, wow, these are all the changes, right? So you just need to look at it in positive light, absorb all of that stuff and settle back in well. Find the right opportunity. If you're happy at work professionally and you're close to family, things will fall into place.
Yeah.
No, that's the way to think about it.
I think it really comes down to what do you value? Do you value the right opportunity and you being close to the family, or is it the infrastructure, air pollution, and all that?
Which are not insignificant.
Yeah.
And they're obviously important. But there are solves. There are ways to actually figure out how you can contribute to those problems and make them better. Sometimes you'll have to figure out how to make sure you plan for those things. But these are smaller things in the big scheme of things.
Yeah. And also, as you mentioned, over there, of course, you can take a weekend trip or this or that. But in India, you can sign up on Scapia and you'll get to do those things.
And by the way, you can do all of that stuff and be close to family, enjoy Diwali.
Yeah.
Like I used to hate Diwali in the US.
Yeah.
I used to hate any of the Indian festivals. What are you doing on a weekday sitting in the office and you have your other Indian, now of course it's become a multicultural, little bit more inclusive festival even in the US, but it's still not Diwali in India, right? It's never going to be. Yeah. It's not Christmas or it's not Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be. And for me, all those were important. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, right? I didn't want to be in a place where I'm not enjoying the things that I care about.
Yeah.
Right? That is a very personal decision. It's a very deep personal decision. So it's not like, I didn't enjoy the stuff in the US. Like I used to enjoy watching NFL games, NBA, or going to the US Open and watching tennis matches. But now I watch IPL. I missed the IPL when I was in the US.
Yeah.
But now, and today we are announcing we are partnering with RCB and doing something fantastic for our customers. These are the things that you enjoy, like, you build with Indian brands and have fun and let the customers do stuff, right? So,
you wouldn't have gotten to do the things that Anil is doing if you were over there. But anyway, we'll move to the last section.
Sure.
Anil, what are you most obsessed about these days outside of work?
Outside of work? Yeah. Obsessed?
Yeah. Or something that's giving you a lot of energy.
Multiple things that give me a lot of energy. I have two girls who keep me happy and give me a lot of positive energy many times. Of course, unless there's some fights or some troubles happening at home. But I'm obsessed about tennis. I play tennis regularly. I've been playing. You are a national champion.
Next time we'll play.
No, I don't think I can play you. You'll defeat me 6-love and I'll hope to win 1 point against you.
Look, as long as you give me tons of coins.
For that, you have to get the card. But I play the sport since my 6th standard. And I think some of these things, when you pick up in childhood, they stay with you for life. So I enjoy playing tennis. I enjoy sports in general. And being physically fit is mentally fit. Being mentally fit is also physically fit. So I believe in that, and that I like to do. I have been keen on learning a musical instrument, and unfortunately I never did that in my childhood. So the last few years I've been trying to learn the piano, and there's one at home.
Yeah.
My daughter is learning, but it's something that keeps me interested. Not as regular as my tennis, but I've been trying. The other thing I'm very obsessed about is movies and binge watching. And yeah, this obsession started in 2004-05 when I went to the US and I became a Netflix customer when they were selling DVDs. But Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, I cut myself off everything, and then you'll find me at work only on Monday morning.
Monday morning.
In between, it's kids tennis, probably going out to eat, and a lot of binge watching. Seeing obscure movies and series from all over the world.
Yeah. If you haven't watched it, watch Patal Lok.
That I've seen. Yeah. Whatever comes, I am generally an early adopter on all of this stuff.
Anil, thank you so much.
Thank you. Lovely
this
having
was a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on the show, and thanks for doing this. And I think India needs a lot of talent from all over the globe. I think this is my humble request to all the Indians who are outside who want to come back. Happy to chat with them and give a perspective. But I think there's a lot of nation building to do and a lot of talent that we need here. I think it will also be a spot where a lot of not only Indians but global citizens will come and work and contribute to India. It will be probably where some of the American countries or where Europe is, where people around the globe will go and contribute to. I think India will be again that place in the next couple of decades, and I think you'll see a lot of Indians coming back. So thanks for doing the show on this topic and having me.
Perfect.